So this is one of the things that we've been fighting against some scrupulous people who parade themselves as pastors, but they are bandits in the house of God. I feel for the woman so much because she made a very big mistake, and that was her mistake was withdrawing that case from the police station. The pastors are humans, whether we like it or not, and they are citizens. They are mere citizens in this country. If you have any problem with a pastor, or you find out that the pastor is trying to dupe you or anything, go fully legally with him. If you want to, even if it means that he ends up in jail, there's no problem about that. All this narrative of giving money to pastor for visas and all of that, I know a lot of pastors. I know some pastors that actually do side businesses, and they are legitimate, right? They are legitimate in what they do. They don't go scamming people. Now, this is the advice that I have for the woman. If the woman can hit me up, I would lead the woman to two places. First, the woman has to go to EFCC and lodge in a complaint. And then secondly, I would also want her to visit Brekete family. Now, the ordinary president is one person that is very, very helpful when it comes to cases like this. So I think that's my humble opinion, and that's the only way that I think I can also help out.
What about within the Redeemed group? Is there a way that they can actually address this? Because this is a stain, if you ask me, my humble opinion.
That is freeze. The truth about the matter is, whether we like it or not, as someone who's been in the innermost carcass of the church and understands how it plays, no redeemed pastor would come on your life. Trust me. If you like, continue advertising this from now to the next 6 months. No redeemed pastor will answer to this. None of them would come, because it's like a fraternity. Whether people need to understand these things. These guys actually work as a fraternity. That's the more reason why they played on the woman. They actually they looked at her. Obviously, they saw that she was naive, and whether we like it or not, they had to come together and talk. They must have discussed all of this together and say, hey, let's try to see how we can cover our pastor. So if the woman wants to go, wants to get her monies, she has to go legally, and that's my advice.
Very beautiful advice. To be honest, I truly appreciate your advice. So you said EFCC. How do you think the Brekete family will be able to help? Because I did hear you mention that.
I'm in Abuja. If the woman can hit me up, or after this, you could get my phone number. If the woman can hit me up, I'll take her there. She needs to get her funds. She needs to shout it out. Because they are thieves. That's the truth.
Can she reinstate it, considering the fact that she has withdrawn it already?
They are thieves.
Can you hear me?
She was swindled. The truth about the matter is, she was swindled of her hard-earned monies. So she needs to get her monies, and she has to go legally. She has to go out of the ambience of the church. She needs to stop writing to them. She has to go legally to get her monies.
All right. If there's anybody who knows anyone in EFCC, please, if you know, you see, by knowing anyone in the FCC, I don't mean you walking through the door and meeting a random person somebody who can actually facilitate this. We want justice for her. If she's telling the truth, she showed quite a few receipts. And as long as I'm also worried that stuff like this can happen in the holy land of the camp, that worries me.
Daddy Freeze, the truth about the matter is, I'm in Abuja. Give the woman my number, and we'll get justice for the woman.
I'm going to follow you right away.
Yeah.
Tell us about yourself. You say you are a pastor in RCCG.
Was. I was.
Why did you leave?
Yeah, because of the nonsense that I see going on. I rather don't serve God under the platform that would make me an hypocrite.
Hmm.
And that's the truth about the matter.
And that's why, you see, them not acknowledging the fact that we're reaching out to them is also not going to do them any good. Because if people start building this type of narratives around them, you know, first the lady came and said she was swindled, then you are saying you had to pull out of the church because of this kind of behavior. It doesn't paint the church in a favorable light.
Yes.
I think they should
Freeze, let me tell you something. You know, I've been following you for the past 5 years now, and I must have to use this opportunity to tell you that I really appreciate what you do, because we're people of like minds. You talk about tithing, I talk about tithing. Those are the things that actually made me say, hey, it's time for me to serve God with my knowledge, and with the knowledge that I know God, and not the knowledge of another person. That's the truth about the matter. Now, the church, we need to understand that the church is just a building. It's the people in the church that make that building. So when we say RCCG and all of that, it's as though it's just the building. No. It's the people. It's the kind of people that we have in the church that are perpetrating this evil that we're talking about. That's the truth. Because a lot of things, that frees a lot of things are happening in this country, and a lot of things too are being swept under the carpet. And enough has to be enough. We just have to help ourselves as a people. We need to give that lending hand. We have to, how will I even put it? We just have to spearhead certain things so that we can have the right change. Everybody's talking about the government. Everybody's talking about government doing this, government doing that, and all of that. But who is this person? He's a government right now because he's a leader. That's the truth. If you have an opportunity to serve people under whatever platform, if you're you happen to be a leader. So if you're a leader and at the end of the day you're not leading in that platform where you serve, then there's no point pointing hands to the government, because the government, we as a people make up that government. Is a reflection of who we are. Is a reflection of our society.
100%, 100%. And I'm really unhappy that, you see, when you go abroad, you will see that the church has lost its grip. Religion used to be so powerful that at a point, the popes were more feared. Popes would go to war without having an army.
Yes.
But that generation has ended because of abuse.
You see, the church abroad has moved from the buildings to humans. They leave the church. They leave Christianity. They leave Christianity. If you go, this same people that are perpetrating this evil and all of that, when they go abroad, they stay on the queue without anybody telling them that, oh, stay on the queue. You'll see them stay on the queue. But the moment they get to Nigeria is something else. Now, how did they do it? The moment a child is born, it is what the child sees from the parents that is the outcome of what he's going to carry into the society. So, for me, the church has moved from the building abroad to the lives of people. They leave Christianity. We talk Christianity.
So sorry. Forgive me, I had a delivery. It's a Friday, so my usual Friday delivery. Sorry, Pastor. So Sorry, my okay. So here's what I want to say. Yeah, the Nigerian church has cornered itself into a place where it's become so embarrassing.
Yeah.
Not only is she claiming that a pastor defrauded her, he defrauded her inside camp. She went to as far as seeing, according to her story, the PA to the GO. It's messy, if you ask me.
Yeah.
It is messy, if you ask me. And he used the money to build a house. As in, how did we get here?
Well, that's the society we find ourselves that it frees, because when people set up enterprises and there's no body, because the can themselves are part of this whole thing. They are supposed to be overseeing the attitude, the functionality of the Christians in Nigeria, but they themselves are also part of this fraternity that it frees, whether we like it or not. These guys are fraternity members. There's a way I want people to look at pastors, right? Pastors are not just they are not people that fell from heaven. No, they are Nigerians. Okay, I just want to tell you a little story, right? When I wanted to have my wedding, I told my pastor that I needed something small. I don't want anything elaborate, right? The head pastor that was overseeing me in the church. And I said, I don't want anything elaborate. I'm just a simple guy that would want my wedding, done nicely, just with a few people and all of that. It's not the wedding that is the thing. What you should be bothered about is
the marriage.
The marriage itself. Do you know what my pastor told me? He said, no, it doesn't work that way, that I need to invite people. He took up a pen and started writing things that I need to do. I need to go to the provincial parish, invite X and X people. And I told him, I said, what the hell? Are you in my pocket? You're not in my pocket. So
let me even tell you something. Church wedding is not biblical.
It's not. It's not.
It's not. It's white people's traditional marriage. That's church wedding. I dare you to show me a place in anywhere in the Bible where the church was given the authority to marry couples. Marriage was always traditional. Even the wedding Christ attended in John chapter 2 was a traditional wedding.
You're correct.
So the fact that the church is doing the wedding is already wrong. Then the church is now telling you must invite this. You must say, come on. How wrong can a wrong thing become?
You're correct. So enough of that's the more reason why you have and another thing that is really causing this problem is they actually make people pastors. That is reason, if you read your Bible very well, there are criteria in making people leadership, even in the church. Right?
Absolutely.
You've never been to someone's home. You don't even know the person's family. You've not been able to look into how the person caters for his family and all of that, the kind of decision that he takes. And then you're making this person a pastor to oversee other people, right? So anybody, the moment you just know the Bible, the moment you could quote one or two verses in the Bible, in Redeem particularly, you're just you're fit to be a pastor. The next thing, they just go a fishing, they plant you in a church and all of that, and they leave you to build the church, right? Yourself, you're on your own. So now tell me, why wouldn't these pastors, the truth is, why wouldn't these pastors put their hand in nonsense? They will. There's no way they can, because they can't. Someone who never oversees people will just wake up one morning and have 30 to 40 people that he wants to, that he's presiding over.
Can I ask something? Can I ask something?
Yeah.
When you were pastor in the church, were there at a point in time probing how you got your resources, or they just how much you
you see, let me tell you something, right? There's a law that they brought, there was a law that that Redeem have. Anybody that is a Redeem member here could testify to what I'm about to say, right? And this was where I started drawing the curtains. Now, how would you tell people that as you're paying the tithes is one thing that the freeze that you've been shouting about. But now let me tell you something that you don't know. If you go to Redeem,
hey, we've lost your voice. Okay.
They would actually keep a register where you actually record how much you pay monthly. So I'm like, if I should, put down the amount of monies that I pay in tithes monthly, then that means you actually know my income from my tithes. So these were the things that I was taking as a black sheep. I was taking as a rebel. But there was something that I told them. I said, when in the Bible, there's a king that actually said all the firstborns should be killed. And we had this midwife,
Herod,
right? We had midwives that, no, rather killing that king, they saved the firstborns. That was also rebellion, right? I stand in that part of rebellion, the rebellion of truth. You need to be a rebel for you to be a carrier of the truth. Because what you're rebelling
Christianity
against is darkness.
Started in rebellion against the teachings of the Pharisees, who, according to Matthew chapter 23, verse 1, were sitting in the seat of Moses.
Yes.
Then the Protestant Revolution, listen to the name, Protestant, coming from protest, protested against the Catholic Church. And if you follow even the Pentecostal movement, started by Charles Fox Parham and William J. Seymour in the early 1900s, late 1800s and early 1900s, they started in protest against the Methodist Church. That's why it was the Pentecostal movement. So anybody that tells you being rebellious is bad does not understand Christianity. Christ was rebellious. John the Baptist was rebellious. All the disciples were rebellious. They stood against what was accepted as norm.
You're correct. Very correct. So we just have to help the woman. That's the truth, because Daddy Freeze, they've started. They cover themselves. They would cover it up, and at the end of the day, they would just die the case, and they wouldn't have their monies. So it's better she takes this matter to the authorities, and I'm putting up myself to do that. I would lead her to EFCC. I have a friend who's in EFCC, and I also I live very close to Brekete. It's like 5 minutes drive away from the studio. So I could take her there, and then she tells her story. I'm sure the man would be interested in the case too. So it's just for her to make noise.
All right, so thank you all so much for this. I appreciate you, all of you who bought my super chats, which is none of you, because you guys were listening to Jigs, you do not remember. Big shout out to my TikTok family. My #1 gifter, I always do this at the end of the day, is Havato, and my #2 gifter is Chris Obinok. Keep popping those money guns. We're rounding off in 5 minutes. Whoever's my #1 gifter at the end of the day would get a follow. In the meantime, guys, follow my #1 and my #2 gifter on TikTok. Follow them, follow them, follow them. Thank you all so much on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. We're going to come back again tomorrow with more gist. But in the meantime, let's help this girl get justice. Take care, everyone. God bless. And I love you all.
All right.
Double click my screen, TikTokers. Chris Obi on